It's 11:11 out there somewhere. Make a wish. But don't tell anyone, or it won't come true. That's the secret. Keep your secrets. Oh, keep your secrets then. Oh, you. Hobbs looks a little flimsy, man. Dated a girl in college, and she was a birthright lineage, a Blackfoot Indian to her name and her family. Not by dominance, but she would walk barefoot in the concrete jungles of Worcester, Massachusetts, which gave me my wonderful skills of observation, being blessed with the ability to have an environment where I could ask questions, tell jokes to get a reaction. Sometimes you tap the glass, sometimes you stick a fork in a socket for a reaction. You ask a question, you'll often get a reaction. You'll get different reactions. Sometimes you'll get quite unexpected reactions from a question itself. So I found myself asking obscure questions compiled with lots of coffee through the 90s, lots of coffee shops, poetry, slams acoustic guitars, songwriting, Reiki, witchcraft, a lot of corduroy, a lot of flannel. A little too much Pearl Jam, not enough Soundgarden, if you know what I'm saying. But there's magic in 1996 betwixt our hands. I'm getting lost in the Netherland of the mind. It must be this beautiful, beautiful lighting system. These chandeliers casually swinging about here in New York City. Best pictures always come from around the year 1900. Our journey today is going to start at a little place, the Gilsey House. Always dependable, the Gilsey House. Seven-story building that was beautifully integrated to Manhattan, the heartbeat of New York. When we think about New York, we often think about a couple of streets and Broadway was where you could make it. And as we see, the Gilsey, Gil, like gold, perhaps gold, the Gilded Age of French Renaissance architecture, the style. A lot of the architecture in this time frame was in the style of something in the past. History tells us. So in the style of the French, Was it Gothic? I don't believe it, but it was definitely Gil, G-I-L, was at Gold Pieces on Broadway. On the other side of 29th Street, there we go, 28th Street. What's the Gilsley? Built with a beautiful clock tower on top of it. There's a picture of it from the side, and my. Look at the columns. Very nice columns, if I do say so myself. And they did not have a future for this building. This building, like many, was connected to underground tunnels, Broadway especially. This building had 2 underground floors on the street of Broadway, connecting Manhattan and Lower Manhattan's transit system. Lower Manhattan transit system was all connected underground. Maybe that's why it was so important to have these clocks on many of these buildings had luxurious clock towers. And now, is this a drawing before? Is this an architect? No, this is just an account. This is record keeping. These people, and some people down there, for the Gilsey building. And here we are in action. Broadway and 29th Street, the intersection in 1906, were there about. Some notable facts about this building. That was raised with a Z. Raised with a Z means taken down. It was taken down in 1911 on paper, but it did not go down. And it maintained for many years, changing the storefront. But there were plans. As many buildings seem to have a, expiration date on them. This certainly was one of these buildings. The bottom floor of this building and the lower floor beneath it, there was a swimming pool. A 20 by 40 foot, 8 foot deep swimming pool was on the bottom floor of this building. And here we are, the Gilsley House again. A modest piece of architecture, constructed in the late 1800s and still does stand today, and protected by the Archaeological Society of New York City. And what I have found out, this building, which led me to find out much other storylines following a pattern showing itself, was a lot of buildings that are protected by archaeological societies for architecture have had their lower floors sealed up. So their lower floors, the ones that connect to what you want to call them, the lines, the tram lines, the subway systems, I suppose would be what to call them. A lot of the buildings that still stand today. As one building in 1911 serves no purpose, other buildings, a lot by the name of Bellevue, the Belfort Stratford Hotel, there was the Bellevue, different architects, different stories, similar styles. This one in Philadelphia, built in less than 2 years, of course, with multiple floors underneath, including swimming pools. There was often a swimming pool on the second floors of these buildings, and I'm not talking about when the Paris Hilton hotel line came in and building penthouse parties. Gives you a different wonder about what the penthouse isn't just a bunch of rooms. But we are the Bellevue. The French impression that the French have upon the United States and the freedom. Yes, yes, freedom rings. We know, we know, we know. Oh, Champs-Élysées. Fits right in. Fits right in. The heartbeat of New York, I would think, would be, in most people's mind, Manhattan. The Muppets took Manhattan. Now, right, Kermit?
Well, not today, Ed. Give me a break, man.
I guess Kermit's not really feeling it. Maybe later. You gonna sing a song later, Kermit?
Dude, are you serious? You've been renting 2 weeks, man.
Kermit's a little uptight. The Hotel Netherlands in New York as well. Now, just a fine example of the time frame and structure of these buildings with a swimming pool, similar styles. And for those down there, thank you for being here. And a great way to share somebody's live for future reference for yourself and others, and possibly me right now. If you go to my page, click on the little picture of Eddie O up in the corner there with a picture generated from my friend Basha Hex. Big shout out to Basha. Much love. Happy holidays. Aloha. If you click on that, go to one of my previous videos and repost it. That way it will be circulating for a little bit of time, as TikTok does. But now, by going to my page, reposting a video, it'll have a little airtime out there. That airtime will qualify as people maybe to come in and see a little bit about the Hotel Netherlands, Fifth Avenue. Who wouldn't want to see this building? Drive by every day. They talk about the caterpillar on the leaf with the two-dimensional reality, right? It has no idea about. But if that's not a castle up on top, I don't know what is. And the many levels, the many defined levels, which could possibly be leveled, where new doors could be possibly placed, right? You see the old cathedrals and they're at a different level. Hey, there's more underneath, a perfectly new level. So could each of these levels, perhaps, all the way at the top there, when it looks like one housing unit, correct? What if the dirt was all the way up to there at one timeline of repopulation, keeping the mindset that these dollhouses were meant for population as a source? This is also the Bellevue, but this is the Bellevue Hospital. The Bellevue Hospital looks like it had no short supply of wishes or free electric energy from the atmosphere, especially being over a water source, as such be told. I wonder how difficult it is to build a foundation over water. What kind of construction struggles would be in the creation of it. But just like all these examples that we're looking at, these buildings, one thing in common we don't have, we got some uneven mud there for sure, but we don't have construction photos. Rarely we will see some scaffolding and they'll say this is towards the end of the construction process, but most of the time I don't think that's just happens to be. And photography was certainly available at this time. But when we are talking about New York, there's one building that really seems to stand out. That was just a little bit more than our friend here. Nice place to hang out. the libations here that we began at the beautiful place that will never let you down. They're always dependable, the Gilsey House. But more incredible is the Biltmore. The Biltmore Hotel. The Biltmore family, not even hiding it. Biltmore. That's what they, gentleman here, an unassuming man, Mr. Leonard Schultz, perhaps surveying the land of some unconstructed areas where he plans on building some of his wonderful, wonderful, wonderful contributions to the land that we all share together here. Mr. Leonard Schultz. These images may be subject to copyright. What do we know about this gentleman? He's got his hand on his hip. Just an unassuming gentleman who was responsible for some elaborate construction processes. He's one half of the Schultz and Weaver architectural firm. A couple of quick scroll throughs for some postcards, which are picking up steam. I hear these postcards are picking up traction real soon. Coming back at you. Here's some of his constructions that he constructed. Is that right? Construction paper. Oh, look at those kids. Teaching the kids that this is... It's funny, I kind of look like... Well, you know... Hey, look at that gentleman in the bottom left. Fine-looking gentleman. He's not up to no good. He doesn't have a mustache. Clean-shaven. Nice clean hat. A tie. Collars, you know, the term photophobic. Photophobic. What does photophobic? Photo is light. Phobic. So perhaps, you know, they need to color these pictures in eventually. So our friend here, though, this unassuming gentleman, Leonard Schultz and Weaver, and starting in 1922, the Biltmore Hotel in Los Angeles, also 22, an apartment hotel. And we can start looking at examples of the size and how some of these buildings might stand out a little more than others. As our unassuming hero in this architectural gift, you know, Michelangelo, Gabriel, Raphael, Leonardo da Vinci. I'm talking about Leonard Schultz and the Hotel Seville. Oh, this is beautiful. Look at those archways in the bottom. And he had time to correlate all those beautiful windows. This fine gentleman, that I believe is a Coral Gables. The Breakers Hotel, we have some imagery as I went back to examples of this fine gentleman, Leonard Schultz. Those American flags on top of that building, that's how they started the construction. Flag was waving and we built it. Oh, beautiful construction here. What is this, some kind of futuristic bus at the bottom of this? No, that's part of the building. Wait a minute, is this two different time periods? Did they build? They? Hello, it says hello down low. Which one are we looking at here? Good old J.C. Penney starting back. Good old J.C. Penney starting back in the day. Now these dates, these dates now that these are constructed, right? These are construction dates. These aren't picture dates. Right? So up they went in front of everybody. Up they went. All right here at the middle of two of the WW Worldwide Wrestling Federation matches. Every Which one was this? Is the one right before the first. We'll get to this in a second. The one before. The one before the train station. Where are we? Because this all guy does have a punchline. Okay. Billmore Hotel, 9025 Breakers Hotel, 25. Doolin Building, J.C. Penney. But it all builds up to the train stations. In these train stations, what movie comes to mind? What movie comes to mind at the great train stations? Oh, that's subtle. That's no big deal. But wait, inside, mostly underground, this architect was really into this guy with no back support, surrounded by, looks like people on the left constructing, perhaps, doing actual construction. We see a ship, a boat. The tops of these networks of the train station, central stations, a little unassuming. But when you see the grandiose underneath, you understand the dimension of all these works from, again, our good friend Leonard. He was Leonard Schultz here. Leonard Schultz. He was educated at City College of New York and ranks high among the most successful pupils of Franco-American architect Emmanuel Louis Mascaret, founder of the Atelier Mascaret, Atelier 8 Liar, Masquerade, I believe, but Masquerade, Schultz, Mr. Schultz, like Peanuts cartoonist, Franco-American, Spaghettios. There's a good story about Mr. Chef Boyardi. It's not Boyardi, it's Boyardi. Schultz has been an employee of the firm of Warren and Wetmore. Good, the Wetmore. Warren and Wetmore. MAS Mason, Warren Wetmore, WW, 33 on the sign. During his 20 years in that company's office, he worked on designs for such projects as New York's Grand Central Terminal, engineering, business, real estate, and the Biltmore hotels in New York and Los Angeles. No minor feats to start off in constructing something of this magnitude and scale. I like how the parking in front's kind of beach volleyball setting. It's kind of like you pull in, it's like, ah, sweet ocean party. Get your motor running. Get them carrots. Who had the fastest horse? These horses look pretty similar. They don't look very pimped out, like Pimp My Horse. So the style of Mr. Leonard Schultz, let's not get off track, our modest hero here of architecture. Good work here in Ponce de Leon Hotel. Ponce de Leon. He designed, wait a minute. Mr. Leonard Schultz had quite eclectic taste, especially at the Ponce de Leon. Princes of Leon. Yeah, Princess of Leon. Whoa, your sex is on fire. Right. Ponce de Leon, the living forever. Right. Fountains of Youth. The blue plasma coming out of Florida. Definitely. And the Emmanuel Louis. He wrote the manual on the Masquerade. And anyone can just say their name is Louis or Henry. This good man, born in Dippy, France. September 10th, pretty close, age 55. St. Paul. Anyone out there from St. Paul? It's time for you to do a little research on Mr. Emmanuel Louis Masquerade, and you can join my Discord and communicate there. There is a group of people out there that definitely resonate with this information. So there isn't much on our friend Emmanuel, but we do have these hotels. I'm going to take a quick little break here. I'm going to see what I can do about uploading another slideshow, Courtney. Let's do a little timing test. A little music in the background for some mellow yellow, some frequency. So I'll be right back. Thank you. Well, all right, all right, all right. So I think I've got that squared away. We think, Courtney, pretty reasonable time to run around and screenshot 50, not quite 50, I believe. I have an app for a tap the screen screenshot opposed to hitting the volume and the power button at the same time as that can go. Also got a nice app out there. I wouldn't want to use it on my own line, but it is the Auto Clicker app for your friends. You know, there is an Auto Clicker app. You can set it for settings, randomizers, and a great way, and again, a fun way to share everyone for future reference is to go to the person's profile and repost rather, one of their videos. So almost ready to continue along here with the second part of EdTalk, talking about buildings like the Biltmore and these hotels, all referenced today from different architects, especially our good friend Leonard Schultz and his French Renaissance revival style of hotels. Besides the swimming pools, the giant ice machines that were creating tons of ice a day, the interior lighting system with no light bulbs, complete lack of plumbing. There was plumbing, a strong lack of plumbing. I haven't done much research on refrigeration, but I guess the ice. I want to find some gardens. There's only so many pictures, and they all seem still life. But one thing was pneumatics. Pneumatic. The word pneumatic. What a cool word. Air pressure, like a spitball for pressure building up in one side and shooting right along the other. So through asking absurd questions, I found evidence of most of the buildings in this style of what we would call Art Deco style buildings, like the Empire State Building. Most buildings constructed in major cities, especially Chicago, New York, and Detroit, would be your three hitters in that department for examples of buildings that include a pneumatic tube system. This here is for coffee, but the idea is there are integrated lines connected through the entirety of these hotels, buildings, housing units. Were they always a hotel? Are these destination places for the weekend, or did people just live here in these places? So these different size tube systems that would go throughout the hotel rooms, always found in examples of the Biltmore, the Bellevue hotel systems, the Guilford that we looked at first today, all these examples. Through the walls, not generally abundantly in the open, but in the construction and integrated power were these pneumatic tubes, just like when you're at the bank and Blue Man Group, Blue Man Group plays those tubes. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So the pneumatics business was quite a big deal, and when they integrated this into the construction process, because this was in the construction process of these tube systems going to, mind you, 600 to 1,000 rooms is not unheard of for the larger buildings. Like the Biltmore itself had approximately 600 rooms in different sized tubes to different locations. I'm sure they could get ice as this all connected in a place like a mail room and a mail system, and there will be a lot of connection to the postal service and this, and how the story of the narrative blends and they're part of each other. Medicines, fuel, manna, what could be in these tubes? What were these tubes made out of? This is no plumbing. We didn't have plumbing really. There's not a lot of bathrooms, a lot of chamber pots, a lot of throwing stuff out the castle windows. But there were these tubes. That's something that'll make you a little curious. A lot of airplanes and airships, of course, on different styles. Let this soak in for a moment as a unseen image. I have a feeling, if anyone's ever worked in the service industry as a waitress, a waiter, a bartender, and all of a sudden the manager comes on, he's like, let me show you how to do this. And you kind of got to sit there and have a grin on. Couple of suits, huh? Couple of suits. It was good business, There was different size and the pneumatic systems, and And we think how big pneumatics could get. And you think of tubes, and underneath all these hotels that I'm referring to, what if these pneumatic systems were integrated into the early, well, rediscovery, I would say, of these underground lines. One of them had rail systems, others did not. They did not necessarily. I'm not telling that this is my truth to this. This is just an idea that all of the rail systems in the lower subways were not added to tracks like this that did not have, or vice versa. For the short time they tell us that these pneumatic tube systems as transportation possibilities were something that perhaps they tell us just it didn't fare well with the future development of the future and the development of these cities, as often is the case with destruction of buildings and the architecture that they have removed because it doesn't fit how things are going to work because they had, ideas of replacements in the future. There's no tracks on this. Now, does this look something safe to you? Is this the flume through the shot? Of course, this is just a drawing. Of course, it could be just an imagination, just the backs of people's heads, just the backs of people's heads. But these pneumatic in the hotels are still references, of course, from one place to another. Maybe business was that important to the New York Stock Exchange to make. Imagine what that place sounded like. Probably the opposite of cymatic frequencies. Imagine being the maintenance guy, Eddie from Punky Brewster. Hey, Mr. Warnemont. That guy's name was Eddie. My name's Eddie, so I suppose I have a strong relationship with the maintenance man in the building of Mr. Henry Warnemont. He owns the building. If you didn't realize, Henry Warnemont owns the building. Henry! Oh, what is it? It's Sherry. Is she okay? Yeah. But where's Punky? Punky! Maybe the world is blind. Oh, right. So airplanes were known to use for food. They said fast food. Integration of fast food literally started off as right, your face fast food was this guy. What would we ship today if we didn't have to? Seems pretty ground to ground. We often think things need to go into the atmosphere to come back, like we're told with our satellites and internet that it's better to go far away than to come back and, hit them with a mirror, hit them with some math. Now it's going right into the ground. Hey, how about that? Look at this image for a moment. If you see somebody in the comments, it's probably going to type it up real quick. But on this cart on the left of this, I see a number, don't you? I see 2 digits. Look at this tube integrated right into the ground here. And what is this? The mail from where? The mail to hell? Look at these people. Look at this dude in the front standing here. Like, these are vampires that have been put to work way too long. I think about vampires. I think about pneumatic tubes that was just built. Looks like a ride. Look at that statue on the left. Who's that guy? But I imagine those bricks were placed there, and to underestimate and make light of this tunnel, if this tunnel went 4 feet long and the base of it What's on the base? Grease? Wood? Magnets? Are there magnets? Vibration? Chance? Bugs? Do they have bugs? Little insects? They just keep pouring mosquitoes and fish larvae, fish egg. What would they pour on this slick track to lube up the tube? How would they charge up the air with this pneumatic system? Or is it magnets? When they say pneumatic, I think they're usually pushing air. And it was big business. It was known. People, I think came across and didn't use the technology in the same way as was probably originally designed for. But I'm sure they made use of it and helped people take orders and used it to manufacture the manufacturers. Yeah, manufacturing is not about the products they create because you are the product, right? Manufacturer? Oh, pneumatic tube station. Where are you working these days, Bill? Pneumatic. P-new. Sears and Roebuck. Yep. Ear. The word ear is in the middle of Sears. Well, we're not going to be breaking that down at the moment. But what fine gentlemen, what hard-working gentlemen there. And what all you make of it, must say. Of course, there are designs, and I imagine a lot of what we see as so-called blueprints from the design are something, maybe a half-hearted re-engineering, reverse engineering, where they're giving a quick explanation to how it works, and probably not, but it's probably something beyond the capability of the viewer at home or whoever these pictures are meant for. And so these tubes, right? We're trying to imagine, these tubes. I'll get you medicine. What do you want? If you lived in one of these rooms in this hotel and you weren't there for the weekend, but you lived there, there was no shortage of castles to live in not too long ago, apparently. If we lived 200 years ago, we'd all be living in castles all the time, and there'd be a tube that would come right to you. This would be the room we would all sit in, talk about the tubes. They weren't dumb waiters, they try and picture a silent guy with some tubes trying to some subtle ceiling work. There are such a limitation of interior pictures for so much. Last forever. Made to last forever. And except it would have to be something of proportion to end these buildings that were meant to and built to last forever. As we see the luxurious world that we live in. Well, that worked out pretty well, I must say, Courtney, for the value of switching that slideshow like that. If there was a way I could integrate. But I certainly do find stake in that. The word Bellevue, of all the beautiful view, Bellevue Hospital had a much different agenda, of course. One of our early hospitals. Suffered the same fate, of course, as so many other amazing structures that were built in such a short time and lived a short lifespan. Lived a short life. But served their purpose through New York's ever-growing development down Broadway. That is the episode for this evening. I hope everyone enjoyed it. For all the full frame episodes, please subscribe to my YouTube, which you can find right in my link tree. Search for Eddie Knows. If you go to my YouTube, do a guy a solid, click through some of my videos, hit a couple thumbs up on them. I'll pretend you watched them. You pretend you watched them. I'd certainly appreciate it. Levels of truth, we'll just keep digging. Keep asking questions. Hit me up at DMens if anyone has a inkling to go live themselves. And invite me to co-host a live at any time on TikTok, as we can do such. Right, I believe I could invite another host. And I could invite quick people. Should I do that? Let's do that. Let's just invite somebody. Invite. Let's invite a new friend. Let's do something. Turn my camera on. I don't want to be a creep. My camera. It's really creepy. That's weird. Hey, a cool picture too. Do you think someone's gonna join on here? It says, should we do Oscar?
Oh my god, what is up with this shit?
Well, hi there.
Hi, yeah. I don't see you.
They had some
I really don't
fans
like
on my
stuff with people
TikTok,
that I
and
really can't
they
see. You
wanted to
gotta have
invite
like
somebody.
a real.
Make sure she. I can't hear her. I don't have my audio in. It's kind of creepy, man. I feel violated. Well, hopefully we're not at battles yet or any of that stuff on TikTok to promote my brand. Eddie O, Courtney, thank you for all the help. I'm gonna go upload this video. And thanks for your support. And remember, Cash App, it helps. All right, let's get some Windows 11 based software. We're there. Big shout out to Dominic. He got me some camera mounting equipment for mobile use. He got me a book by John Levy, David Edward, Old World. Dominic, I love you so much. Big shout out. You're the one. All right, so if anyone else is doing a live, hit me up. I'll be bouncing around. Take care, guys. No, I gotta do the sound. That's right.